Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of Going Deep Podcast Shorts. I'm Mike Bundt, joined alongside Kevin Massare. And Kevin, we have some huge news today. The Bills announced that they have come to terms with the state in Erie County to build a new stadium in Orchard Park. What are your initial reactions?
This is the news we've been waiting for, Mike, across the board. I thought it was a fairly clean process for what it could have been. There was no real threats here, even though some were tried to spark even as soon as this week. So it was good to really see that process played out nicely here for the Bills and both the state and the county. So that was really great to see. Some of the major terms came out, Mike. I'm sure we'll be getting to that, but I think, some of the more interesting parts of this, the land's going to be transferred from Erie County, and the lease stadium to the Bills once the stadium is constructed for 30 years, and it will be and I got into this a little bit earlier on Twitter, where it's going to be a multi-purpose stadium, specifically to outdoor sports, and Poland Cars mentioned soccer. So I think that there's some cool and fun, interesting nuggets that we could talk about as well today.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuggets to break down in this, but ultimately the most important thing is that the Bills are staying in Buffalo for the foreseeable future. They're not going to Austin. They're not going to LA. That was decided years ago, but they're not going anywhere. Toronto, that's out of the picture. They're staying in Buffalo. They're safe. They're secure. Bills Mafia, you can relax going forward. Now, how are they going to pay for this stadium? That's been a big question. A lot of people have been wondering that. And it's going to be a lot from the state and the county. The state is going to contribute $600 million. The county, $250 million. The NFL is going to have another $200 million. And the Pagula is $350 million plus. We have that plus number there because if there's any thing beyond what they agreed to, the Pagulas are going to be responsible for that. So in total, we're looking at a $1.4 billion stadium. It's been approved by the state. The county needs to approve it, but eventually the state will approve it once their budget is passed. The NFL owners have passed it, as well as a $200 million loan that they're giving the Bills to build the stadium. So we know the money right now. In the end, you were talking, Kev, about it wasn't really contentious at all. In the beginning, people were balking at the $1 billion price tag for public money. So in a way, even though $850 is a ton for the state and the county, the state will look at that as a win because they're lower than the number that was originally thrown out there. And you talk about relocation. I'm glad that wasn't something that was seriously discussed throughout the process. You had some guys like Pro Football Talk on Twitter in the beginning saying some things, but it never seemed like either side really took that seriously. So I don't know from your perspective, Kev, but this was clean throughout. The only real debate was, is this going to be in the city of Buffalo, or is this going to be in Orchard Park? And even early reports from Tim Graham and John Warrow really made it known there's no debate with this. This is going to be in Orchard Park.
Yeah, and I think some people would have liked. I was pro dome. I was pretty adamantly pro dome throughout the process. At no stage was that ever really considered from the reports of it really being a dome potential. No South Buffalo site, no Amherst site, no Niagara Falls site, Batavia, any of that kind of stuff was never really considered. So it is interesting. I was pro dome. You watched the bad weather the Bills got this year. Some years it doesn't really affect the team at all, but this year was one of them that happened to. And I think that kind of exacerbated the issue of like, Mike, let's go for a dome. I think that there was some evidence that Josh Allen plays better on the road, mainly due to the field and playing conditions, and there was a little bit of that. But the grass field is a great nugget. That is something that players are generally asking for right now. They're always replacing turf. They're always trying new turfs. It's time to go to grass fields. So that's going to be a really good note for the stadium. The overhangs are going to be nice. But I think the biggest discussion right now is those PSLs. The NFL $250 million loan is essentially generally paid back some variation of a PSL program. And I think that's a discussion that people are asking about all the time. How will that be paid on a Bills fan front? Are they going to be able to sell their seats? Are they going to be able to kind of mortgage that out over the course of a week, month, year? 10 years, like how is that going to look? So I think that those are some of the questions that initial fans had. And I still think one of the best things to come out of this was, how can the Bills drive revenue over 30 years? Is it that bad of an investment? I don't believe so. I think that with what stays in the economy, the things that might come out of this, the NFL draft in 2026 or 2027 or in future years, as well as events like soccer's growing in this country. It's growing a lot. The U.S. men's team just played well. Could Buffalo be in the running to use this stadium, as Kaiir mentioned? And a soccer, why would you bring up soccer if you didn't think of something to do with soccer? What are you going to play, Section 5 soccer, Section 6 versus 5 in the state title of high school? Like, I don't see that, Mike. I see some real life soccer. And what does that mean? Potential of an MLS program. And there are some MLS teams failing right now across the country. Could that come into play? Some variation of the MLS would be great to give Buffalo another real major league sport. Plus the concerts that are going to be able to go there, the Rolling Stones, the larger scale thing. So Mike, it's really an exciting time here to break that down. And the stadium is going to run concurrently to the existing stadium right now. And we've had some questions on that. It's going to sit right next to ECC in those lots, the camper lot, the bus lot right there. So we'll see how parking looks for 3 years here. And that's going to be a big topic of discussion. What's going to happen with ECC? Do we need some temporary parking? Like, how's this going to play out before they're able to knock down the existing stadium and then keep that world-class facility all on the campus? The Pagulas have one of the best training facilities. The injury rates are down. We needed to keep things close by. So I think you kind of a culmination of another pro sports team mixed with the best training facilities in the league and maybe in sports. It's been compared to Alabama's training facility. And then you compare that to having all of your entities right there, Mike. I think it's a win-win-win-win-win with over 30 years locks us in, and potentially for our kids to enjoy a really great stadium growing up, but never knowing the concourses that is the Ralph.
Yeah, so let's break it down a little bit. You already mentioned a few things I was about to get to. You hit the PSLs. There's going to be 50,000 PSLs, and I know a lot of fans are worried. Is this a one-time thing? Is this a multiple-time thing? What it comes down to, all season ticket holders are going to have to pay a one-time PSL. They're going to start at $1,000 for the cheapest seats and only go up from there. So that is something that is going to be hard-hitting to a lot of people that are season ticket holders and have been faithful to the team for many years. But unfortunately, that's just the way things are now with the NFL. It's across the league to build these new stadiums. Now, we're looking at an arrival time around 2026. It's going to be about 4 years of construction. They're saying you're going to see some tangible construction by the spring of next year, assuming that everything goes according to plan. Kev, you hit on it. 30-year deal. This locks the Bills in Buffalo till I'll be 60 years old, which is my entire lifespan, 30 years on top of now. But let's get to some of the important questions. Why Orchard Park, and what is the stadium going to look like? So I'm going to just say a few things first, Kev, and then I'll toss it to you. Why Orchard Park? It's as simple as cheaper, easier, and approval. So you're looking at a $1.4 billion project compared to something that would have been downtown for $2 billion plus. Why is it open air? Well, to have a dome or retractable roof, you're adding another $350 million minimum. This came down to cost. The easiest way to get the stadium built is not looking for an extravagant over-the-top stadium. That doesn't mean that this won't be nice or a huge upgrade over what they have now, but it means you're not getting what Dallas or Atlanta or Minnesota or LA are getting. You're going to have a fine building, but it's not going to be a palace. Orchard Park was not the number one spot for many fans, but for others that enjoy tailgating, the suburban environment, they got their wish. It's going to be a very similar game day atmosphere as far as tailgating and lifestyle, going out, enjoying your time. And lastly, approval. Let's be real. If you're trying to talk to politicians, you need something that is going to work and not hurt their favorability. How much public money are we talking if they're going for a $2 billion plus stadium downtown? That could have been a nightmare for anyone. And they tried to hit when Hochul was in office, knowing that she had Buffalo ties and that she was a local and a Bills fan. And this was the time to strike. So they put the most likely proposal on the board to get approval. Now, Kev, you hit some of the things on what the stadium is going to look like. I know you have some details. What are we going to see? What is this gonna feel like when we go to this new stadium?
Yeah, and you asked about it, and I think the architecture firm Populous is supposed to be involved with this, and they've been someone that's been heavily involved in a lot of great creations and stadiums across the world, from soccer arenas to huge stadiums, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to lots of colleges, lots of great venues there, and great at interior design as well. So I think you're going to see a very modern, like we mentioned, it's not going to quite be the palace you mentioned earlier, but it's going to be a nice, really, really well-designed stadium with really cool features. I think you're going to have cutting edge operations throughout. I think you're going to have great suites. You're going to have probably extra things for the kids so that you can feel comfortable bringing your kids there inside the stadium. So I think some of those great designs are going to be what you're expecting. You're on the field level, you're expecting grass, you're expecting an overhang to cover almost all of the seating. And I think that is what you're thinking about. And I think that's reminiscent of a soccer stadium, and why you've heard that come up a couple of times. But the Populous has already had great ties here to the community, and I think that they're going to put something really nice together here in Buffalo. Someone that they feel comfortable with, that came in, that has been utilized before on stadiums. So I think that's first and foremost how the design's going to look. And it's going to be for Orchard Park, New York. It is going to be the Palace of Western New York, though. Might not be SoCal, but it's going to be as nice as it gets, Mike, in terms of what we've ever had, and maybe, in a huge radius, be the number one thing that you will go to for events, future sports, and to watch the Buffalo Bills play. And hopefully that will bring more NFL events like the NFL Draft and others.
Absolutely.
That will be a great notice.
Yeah, and this should bring some stuff to the Orchard Park area. I'm not expecting Orchard Park to suddenly look like New York City, but this should spur some activity in the area. Now, the field, they're saying it's going to be anywhere between 60,000 to 62,000 seats, plus a 5,000 capacity party deck, which will actually align the max attendance close to where the Bills currently average. So the party deck with the standing room only, there's a lot of you never really know how many people are going to come in with that, but you're looking probably around 65,000, 66,000 fans per game. You hit on it: natural grass, heated field, 80% covered. You're going to have larger seats, larger concourses. To put this in perspective, the Bills' current stadium has 70,000 seats, but it encompasses an area of 900,000 square feet. This new stadium, we're talking 65, 66, 67,000 if you have a full party deck, will have an area of 1.5 million square feet. You're adding 600,000 square feet while reducing the capacity of the stadium. What that tells me is you are drastically improving everything. This is going to be a lot more comfortable when you're in your seat. It's going to be more comfortable and more spacious when you're walking to your seat, when you're at the concession, when you're in your suite. The whole atmosphere is going to be next level. If you've gone to other NFL stadiums like Lucas Oil Stadium, which isn't even really at the high tier anymore that it once was, you'd see there's a drastic difference between what it's like to go to a game at Highmark Stadium compared to the rest of the modern stadiums in the league. And I'm not hating on Highmark Stadium. I love to go to games there, and there's this old school college feel. But you're also missing out on some of the modern amenities, which is how I want to finish this up. By the way, love the Hotspur mention, because I think that is a very likely a mold of that could be the direction they're heading in with that covering. That's just an absolutely gorgeous stadium. Seattle might be another example to kind of copy off of. There's some different conceptual designs with the overhangs. But what do I want to see? I want to see a stadium that is not only state of the art for what we can expect for the money in Buffalo, but I want stuff that goes above and beyond. It needs to bring some entertainment 24/7. I'm talking, there needs to be a Bills Museum / Hall of Fame. There needs to be a green space, beer garden type area where you can walk around, enjoy the campus, a reason to bring you to the area outside of just Bills games. Obviously, a Bills store is going to be built. They're probably going to make one much better than what they currently have in place. And I'd expect some restaurants, put in some unique restaurants that can bring people to the area, and even maybe a few shops. You don't need anything too fancy, but make it something where Bills fans want to be back in Buffalo. The ones that have moved out of the area, they'll want to see this. This is going to be an attraction. So make it an attraction. It doesn't need to be huge hotels nearby. It doesn't need to be a mall-like shopping environment, but make it more than what it is right now, and give people a reason to be excited. So that's a little bit of what I'm hoping for. Would love an MLS team. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but definitely think there's higher hopes of seeing international soccer games, higher hopes of seeing maybe UB attract a team like Penn State to come to Buffalo. Could that be a possibility? Terry Pagula, big donor at Penn State. UB trying to get some, as said, maybe they'll play a game there each year against a bigger name opponent. So yeah, a lot of potential here. Kev, what do you want to see? You already talked about what the stadium's going to be like, why Orchard Park. But lastly, what are you expecting out of this big news coming out today?
I think I want to see big time sports. Like, that's really what I'm asking for. You hit it on the head. World Cup qualifying, for instance. Like, so say they don't develop a MLS program. Why would you have a stadium specific? I think you want to attract things like, just like you do in the arena right now or the NCAA tournament. I think that you're hoping to get things like World Cup qualifying, things that might be more niche like that, so that, you know, people from all over now can come to see World Cup qualifying, who might not necessarily be Bills focused, but can come to Buffalo, come love the stadium, and maybe attend a Bills game and be part of that atmosphere later on. So I think you want events like that are different. So I think that's why I immediately go to a U.S. Canada soccer game. Canada's growing. I mentioned this earlier in the soccer world to be one of the best teams in the region, and then really U.S., Mexico, Canada. It would be great to develop some type of Canadian, U.S. international soccer game right there in a stadium like they will have in Buffalo. So that's first and foremost, I think, real low-hanging fruit, Mike, to be able to score a full stadium for a CONCACAF World Cup qualifying or a Gold Cup performance game. And that's what I would love to see. I think it would go bananas with the ability to bring in fans from Ontario to also see what's going on down here in Buffalo. So that's the event that sticks out to me. And we need concerts. We need to bring, whether it's EDM or old rock or modern music, modern pop music, the Miley Cyruses, etc., compared to, and then equally so, like Billy Joel's of the world. Like, you need to continue to grow the concert series and have prime time events, and then equally to every music genre, the electronic music, maybe the electronic festivals there, Mike, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for between the two. And I think the biggest thing to kind of wrap this up, the PSL statement that I want to put on record, you're going to be able to have first choice to these events as a PSL owner. If the World Cup qualifiers, which is big, you might not know it here in Buffalo, huge event. Orlando just sold out last night to watch the U.S. men's team qualify for the World Cup. That was in Buffalo. The generator of that, the ticket sales that you're going to be able to do off of your tickets, as well as the Bills are just looking for a commitment. They don't want this churn and burn model of, you leave this year, I'm going to come back when they're good, I'm going to sell my rock pile tickets, I'm going to come back in the 100 level. No, you're going to commit. And you're going to be able to, and equally so, in return, the Bills are going to give you great and generous terms to be able to pay those PSLs and have rights to a brand new stadium and sell these concert events and more than make your money back. And I believe be able to sell that PSL, Mike. So there is, so many benefits, and it's just, and lastly, ticket prices, the PSLs and others. With all the funding, keep the ticket prices down, which, believe it or not, was one of the main concerns. How are we going to afford $400 tickets? The deal is the PSLs, the state funding, that's where you win as a consumer between the PSLs and the ticket prices. From my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the ticket prices aren't supposed to go up much because of all those factors, state funding, PSLs, and other events happening at the stadium. All of those things are going to make it not much different now, beside the PSL fee, not much different than you're expecting now with a little bit of a hike. So all that being said, Mike, I want to see World Cup qualifying in the U.S. men's national team. I want to see other big time events, soccer events. You could bring in anyone touring and playing an MLS team here, even on a 1-game basis. You can do other type of events there, high school, colleges, UB you mentioned, and maybe just a big time football game, bowl game, things like that. You never know. A bowl game up in the Northeast in a beautiful stadium. There's a million of them there already. Bowl game revenue and all that comes with that, with 2 big teams coming up to play in that. Lots of potential, Mike, and I want to see that mixed in with the music.
Yeah, those are all great points, and I just want to finish up with a few last thoughts with all of this. Obviously, when a stadium comes like this, there's going to be a lot of debate. There's going to be a lot of discussion. Some people are in favor of doing whatever it takes to keep the Bills in Buffalo. Some people don't want their tax money to go to things like stadiums. The facts are the facts. Typically, economic studies show that building new stadiums are not a good economic decision and a good use of public funding. But in a community like Buffalo, the Bills are everything. I think we'd all agree that losing the Bills would have a devastating impact on the morale of this community. So in the end, I think they're making the right choice by building the stadium and giving the Bills what they want to stay here long term. To answer the second debate, downtown Buffalo or Orchard Park, I was always on the downtown Buffalo side, but I understand why that's not the choice. I think it could have had a tremendous developmental potential. I would have loved to see it where they were proposing right near South Park, where you have Riverworks not far away, then you have downtown close to it as well. I thought there was a lot of things to be encouraged about, as did their study. But what I said, you got to understand, it came down to money. It came down to getting approval. Just was never going to have a chance. Third thing, dome or no dome, same thing. Would have loved to have something a little bit nicer with a roof, but I get why they're not doing it. And to be honest, people will a lot of times say that the Pagulas are selfish, that they think only of themselves. I actually think in a little bit of a way, them doing what they're doing was thinking about the fans. They wanted something that could get approved, that would not kill the state, not kill fans with ticket prices, and they did something that long-term will probably have the best result for Bills fans, because we're not really, most of us just want to see the Bills in Buffalo, and end result, we get that, which is the most important thing. I think originally they were hoping it to be downtown, and then obviously things happened over time. Since they bought the team, the Sabres struggled. Their business ventures didn't go as well downtown as they thought they would, and they were kind of forced into this situation where they just had to take what they could. But in the end, Kev, there's a ton of untapped potential. I can't wait to see everything get started. Like I said, the owners have already seen a conceptual drawing of what the stadium could look like. They're talking to fans right now to see the final touches of what they want to do with this. And I think at some point in the upcoming months, probably some point in the summer or late, I wouldn't say late spring, but I'm assuming most likely in the summer, we're going to see some renderings eventually get out there. And eventually they're going to break ground and we're going to see this start going up. I work 2 minutes from the area, so I'm going to see the stadium go up day by day once they break ground. So I'm pumped. I think Bills Mafia should be pumped, and we'll see where it goes. And Kev, anything else on top of that before we end?
Yeah, and I think the last note too is you hit it all on the head with those 2 points. And I think to kind of cap all that off is that they said today that they're going to give back that and more to the community as well. So I think that was an interesting note to come out of that press conference. How exactly does that mean? I don't know. We've seen other state-funded activities, Yankee Stadium, big Yankees fan. But so it's this. There is a precedent here, and I do believe the Pagulas will give back here, Mike. And that's what I'm the most interested in. And to kind of recap everything, this means more to the community than just dollars and cents. It's goodwill. It's go Bills. It's everything that you say to people every day, and all the great podcasts that we have. It just means too much. And I just think that it's an emotional investment too. Like, we're all talking physical, we're all talking stadiums, we're all talking dollars and cents, we're all talking good, bad, in the middle. Are we going to get payback? Are we not? Mike, this is an emotional investment into a town that needs it, that is growing, that could see things like Super Bowls. it is a phenomenal investment into mental health to me, because this is a way to be better, to see your friends and community and get out and ask to see how somebody's doing. And the Bills are the centerpiece of all of this, to bring in a really great alumni of old fans and old players, Mike. This is an emotional investment. This isn't just physical and dollars and cents. And this brings way more goodwill and intrinsic value than you can ever put on any Harvard study, Mike. So I need that to be out there. And just by and large, the amount of Bills fans in Buffalo that watch football in general, and specifically their love for the Buffalo Bills, it is just unmatched. It is great for the league, and it is great for morale around town during these events. There's no better way to bring a community together, and this was a very important emotional investment.
Absolutely. I've lived away from Buffalo for a period in my life. I'm back now, obviously, but the Bills are Buffalo's national identity. That's how the whole rest of the country, even Canada, Mexico, wherever you go in the world, the Bills are what Buffalo is identified for, besides the weather and the snow and all that crap. 10,000 jobs going to be generated by this. You add in the tax money that the Bills bring to the state. It's not as ridiculous as a lot of the things sound. The state said they'll make all the money back. You don't need to believe that, but it's not like the Bills don't generate money for the state either. Gonna wrap it up. Want to say thanks to Tim Graham, John Waro, Jason Wolf, and Chris Horvatitz, who's at Channel 4, for just the tremendous job all four of them have done reporting the facts of the Bills Stadium throughout the process. They've done a great job. They've kept it fair, unbiased, and really they kept the community well informed during a period that could have been very stressful for the area. So like I said, props to all of them. They're all professionals. They don't need my props, but just wanted to shout them out because I felt as a fan I was more educated because of the work that they were doing. But until next time, he's Kevin, I'm Mike. We hope you enjoyed this GDP short, and we'll be back on Friday nights at 8 o'clock on the Cover One YouTube network. Make sure to give us a follow at Going Deep Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and now TikTok. So looking forward to that. We'll see you guys on Friday.